Alrighty, good morning everybody. Hope you're having a good morning. It is Thursday, April 11th, 2024. Let's go take a look at yesterday. Yesterday was just another one of those crappy, sideways, choppy markets. So just no way around it. Seems like pretty much par for the course now. We get a really nice directional move. In this case, in the pre-market after the big CPI news. So this is the high from that news drop. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, led to this really nice pullback coming into the open, and then as you can see for the rest of the day it just kind of went sideways and back and forth. Now I do want to point out that the major area of support that we had down below us, not looking at the actual roadmap levels themselves, we had a pocket here from about 83 to 87 and our scaffolding there at 87.25, and that was one of the more important. Just like we had a zone up here that was extremely important to see the bulls get through, and they came up and tested it for the CPI news and failed. We had a zone down here that we expected to be really strong support for the bulls. Contention for the bears as they were trying to pull price lower. And what do you know? The low of the overnight session, for all intents and purposes, came right into that pocket there and just could not push below, right? So that was the overnight low there. The market opened here, this horizontal line or vertical line, and that's when I told everybody that really this could be anywhere. It's a messy market. Be careful out there. And we had a lot of clues for the bears, but every time we get a pullback like this, the bulls just jump back in. So it made it hard to have any strong bias one way or the other. So here's what happened. Market open, kind of popped around, tested into VWAP, and our support and resistance level, which happened to be the low of the day before, because remember, yesterday, the low of the day was our roadmap level to the tick, right? They came right to it and rotated at the end of the day. So yesterday, market came up right to it, right where VWAP was, right here, got a nice decent pullback and even had trouble a second time. And then they popped it on through, came up. And this line you see right here, this level at 52.23, I didn't have that on the charts yesterday, but I do want to point out that we had a naked swing here after the big sell-off. So CPI hit, it went right through all the levels, right? Just a super heavy sell-off. But when we came back, we had this naked swing in the chart. And I kind of looked at it after the fact, and look what happened. They came right to it. And this is why I love looking at those naked swings. If you pull up the higher time frames, that's the naked swing right there. Big wick to the downside on our 60-minute chart. There's the sell-off from CPI, and they came right to that swing. Yeah, they pushed right through it by a point or two, but came right to it, and then that was the high of yesterday for the pullback. So that's that level that you see on this short time frame chart right up here. So nice rejection off there. Again, we didn't have that level on the charts yesterday, but I went back and looked, and it was kind of interesting to note that once again, the major swing was a discrete area in the chart for a rotation, right? Now, when the market started to sell off from this area, notice what happened. We got our crossover and actually got the first tag of the 200 there, but we got our crossover, price came back down through VWAP, and then they tagged VWAP, and basically our roadmap level and the low the day before once again for a nice push down to test into this area. Even got another opportunity to fade the market with a beautiful, and this is the type of, we actually got a nice divergence on the first test over here, but even more sexy, this beautiful pop with this beautiful exhaustion pattern up off of this level, and then you got yourself a beautiful fade right down to, again, that pocket that we said before the market opened was going to be very important to see the bears get below, and they just could not get below it, right? So the whole overnight session they could not get below, and then even on this larger pullback later in the day, again, right off of this beautiful opportunity. I mean, you can't really get much better than that for a trade, coming right into the 38 retrace, right into VWAP, right into the roadmap level, getting a beautiful bearish divergence. You could have taken that right down to, again, this pocket of expected support, and that's exactly where we got the rotation. I mean, how many rotations do we get from that general area yesterday? You know, 1, 2, 3, and then later on, there's a fourth one that I didn't even mention yet. And then at the end of the day, they came down and bounced just a point or two in front of it. So basically now the low of the day, not to the tick perfect hold like we see pretty often, but for all intents and purposes, we nailed the low of the day and outlined the chop zone once again, right? So market chopped back and forth for quite a while between the low of the day before, which was our roadmap level at 08.25 coincidentally, and the low of the day here in this pocket right around our scaffolding level at 87. And quite literally just bounced off this area back and forth all day. And then you can even see that the other roadmap level, 97, ended up becoming a nice little bifurcation of the two areas. And you can even see really discrete holds right off that area. Not perfect, but you do see once we get below, bam, holds below, get above it, comes down, holds above, holds above, right? So still very relevant inside of all this chop was our 51.97 level. And then as you can see at the end of the day, they came down and bounced right around 97 once again at 96 or 95 half. And that was it. So that brings us here into the overnight session, where once again, the high of the overnight was one of our roadmap levels nearly to the tick, and that's 08.25. That was the low of the day before right there, right? That was the level we were bouncing back and forth between all throughout yesterday's chop session. And then in the overnight, we come right to it, get a peak above and a fail, and even holds to the tick multiple times up here. So pretty sexy if you ask me. You even got a beautiful opportunity as the market opened here to buy the top end of the VWAP with divergence for that push right to the next expected resistance, which would have been 08.25. So really nice stuff. Not much going on that pullback to the 200. Only got you about almost a 5-point bounce right to 08.25 again, and even off the VWAP there, but just not enough strength. And then you got your sell-off. There's the breakdown through VWAP. Here's the crossover. And then here's the ride off the back end of the fast-moving average all through the early morning session. And that brings us here to the news drop that happened just a couple minutes ago back at 8:30 Eastern here. And what do you know? They came down, they tested the previous daily low, and then got this big pop that we're currently in. So the news drop, like I said, this week, we had CPI pre-market yesterday that could lead to a major rotation in the market, and we have jobless claims pre-market this morning at 8:30 Eastern. That's this low, and that could also lead to a pretty strong rotation as well. And here we are, the news dropped. We're in a very directional market lower. If we zoom out to the 60-minute chart, we've been selling off to lower lows and lower lows. There's the news drop and the test of the low of the day before, and now here we are retracing the whole sell-off. So it's been a total whipsaw type of market. Big down moves, big up moves, big down moves, big up moves, and we've been seeing it for I don't know how many months now. Just kind of really strong directional moves, and there is an overarching trend. Like right now, we are obviously making lower lows, lower highs in a bearish trend. But then the bulls just kind of jump in and pop this thing 100 points out of nowhere, right? We're in a big sell-off, and all of a sudden the bulls pop at 100 points, and then the bears jump back in. So it's been a super whipsaw type of market for a while now, and it just is what it is. We have all these clues for the bears this morning, and now here we are defending. The bulls are defending the low of the day before, and now popping it to retrace most of the sell-off. So pretty interesting stuff, and we're going to go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames and do our pre-market for this morning. So that was a pretty long review, but let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frame.